If you've been a fan of Dunkin' for years, you might still find yourself slipping up and calling it Dunkin' Donuts. After all, for decades that was the name that millions of people around the world grew up with. The brand was practically synonymous with coffee and donuts, with pink and orange colors that became instantly recognizable. But in 2018, Dunkin' shocked longtime customers by officially dropping the donuts from its name and rebranding simply as Dunkin'. While the pink and orange colors and the familiar font stayed the same, many people couldn't help but ask, why would a company so closely tied to donuts suddenly want to move away from that identity? The answer lies in a mix of history, marketing, shifting consumer habits, and a desire to redefine what Dunkin' stands for in a competitive food and beverage market. Let's explore, right here, on History of Simple Things. To understand why the company made this bold move, it's important to look back at the brand's roots. Dunkin' Donuts was founded in 1950 by William Rosenberg in Quincy, Massachusetts. Rosenberg's vision was simple but brilliant. Serve high-quality coffee and donuts at affordable prices in a fast and convenient way. The brand's first slogan, "America runs on Dunkin'," highlighted both the speed and the energy boost that coffee and donuts could provide. For decades, Dunkin' Donuts became a household name, with its menu centered around the classic pairing of coffee and sweet pastries. But even from the very beginning, Rosenberg always emphasized the importance of coffee just as much as donuts. In fact, his idea of creating a place where coffee and donuts were sold together was groundbreaking at the time. Fast forward to the 21st century, and consumer preferences began to shift dramatically. While donuts were still beloved, more and more people were becoming health-conscious and didn't want to be associated with eating fried, sugary treats every day. Coffee, on the other hand, became a booming business. Specialty drinks, flavored lattes, cold brews, and espresso-based beverages grew in popularity, particularly as chains like Starbucks expanded and reshaped the way people thought about their morning cup of coffee. Dunkin' realized that while donuts were iconic, coffee was where the future growth really was. By the early 2010s, Dunkin' Donuts was already making the majority of its revenue from coffee and drinks, not from donuts. This shift set the stage for the rebrand. In 2018, Dunkin' announced that starting in January 2019, all new locations and marketing materials would feature the shortened name Dunkin'. The reasoning was clear. The company wanted to be seen as more than just a donut shop. Executives explained that the change was about modernizing the brand and putting more focus on the drinks, especially coffee, which had become the backbone of the business. They wanted to emphasize speed, convenience, and beverages, all while keeping the fun and familiarity of the old name. By keeping the same colors and style, they hoped customers would see the new branding as a natural evolution rather than a complete identity shift. But let's be honest. Dropping donuts from the name wasn't just a marketing tweak. It was a strategic statement. Dunkin' was saying, "We're not just here to sell you donuts anymore. We're a beverage-led brand, and we want to compete directly with the likes of Starbucks and other fast-growing coffee chains." And while donuts will always have a place on the menu, they no longer define what the company is all about. Think about it. Most people don't drive through Dunkin' every morning to grab a dozen donuts. They go for a hot coffee, an iced latte, or maybe a breakfast sandwich. The rebrand was simply catching up with what the customers were already doing. Of course, the decision sparked plenty of debate. Some loyal fans felt that removing donuts stripped the brand of its character and nostalgia. After all, Dunkin' Donuts had been around for nearly 70 years, and for many, the name was tied to childhood memories and family traditions. Critics worried that Dunkin' was abandoning the very thing that made it special in the first place. On the other hand, many people didn't really mind the change. In everyday conversation, people often just said, "Let's go to Dunkin'," so the shortened name already felt natural. From a practical perspective, it made sense too. Shorter names are easier to put on signs, cups, and advertisements. The rebrand also reflects a broader trend in business. Many companies have simplified their names to appear more modern and flexible. Think about how Kentucky Fried Chicken became KFC, or how Weight Watchers rebranded as WW. These changes aren't just cosmetic, they're meant to shift consumer perception and allow the brand to expand beyond its original identity. For Dunkin', dropping donuts made it easier to push new products like cold brew, refreshers, breakfast sandwiches, and even plant-based options without feeling locked into a donut-focused image. The simplified name allows the brand to keep evolving as tastes and trends change. Interestingly, Dunkin' didn't completely abandon donuts in practice. They're still on the menu, still loved by millions, and still play a big role in the brand's appeal. The difference is that Dunkin' no longer wants donuts to define them. Instead, the company's identity revolves around speed, accessibility, and a beverage-forward menu. This aligns perfectly with its long-standing slogan, "America runs on Dunkin'," which has always been more about energy and momentum than about pastries. In other words, Dunkin' is positioning itself as the go-to place for your morning fuel, whether that's coffee, breakfast, or yes, even a donut. So, was the decision to drop donuts successful? From a business standpoint, yes. The rebrand helped Dunkin' modernize its image and stay competitive in the fast-changing coffee and quick-service food industry. It signaled to customers that Dunkin' is not stuck in the past but is evolving with their needs. And while there was some backlash initially, most people adjusted quickly. Today, the name Dunkin' feels natural, and the brand continues to thrive with new menu innovations and global expansion. Thank you for watching. If you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution. If you enjoyed this video, please check out our other bingeable channels. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of simple things. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories woven through the smallest details.